Okay, so we kick off with our first front page feature.
I think we're going to be having a clip of an interview that was aired on another radio station earlier with the very unfortunate Damion Williams.
All right, we're going to start with the clip. Listen to Damion Williams.
One man says his trip from Jamaica landed him more than a year-long stay in jail. Today, his first day of freedom. ABC 15's Megan Thompson live for us at the courthouse downtown. Megan, this really seems like a case of wrong place, wrong time.
Absolutely. Damion Williams, he never saw too much of Phoenix, the most walking out of the courthouse steps after his trial. And the story really makes you wonder, can you be held responsible for your friend's behavior? This all started because he was staying with a friend here on a Phoenix trip. But according to police, that friend had 60 pounds of marijuana hidden in their closet. This is Damion Williams back in Jamaica.
I'm play soccer back home, I work and support my family.
But this is the Damion Williams in America instead of the snapshot of his travel.
I feel like I've been kidnapped. I count the days each day along.
We spoke to Williams in this jailhouse. At that point, it had been...
I've been here for 305 days.
Williams says here, his couch. Police were tracking the moves of these two, Curtis Lauderdale and Nikki Campbell. Investigators catching them trying to ship 10 pounds of marijuana, then getting a search warrant on the house Williams was sleeping in, just hours after getting off a plane from Jamaica.
I've never seen so many police in my life.
This a non-scrapbook-worthy photo taken of a terrified Williams during the raid.
Walking into it, I thought we had a very, very steep hill to climb.
Anthony Ramirez with My AZ Lawyers was Williams' attorney. He says the help his client needed actually came from Lauderdale, taking the stand for Williams. So this is Damion Williams today, free.
It's an amazing feeling, I can't explain.
Damion hearing the words not guilty yesterday, the best souvenir that lets him leave. As for what you can do to prevent a similar situation, his lawyer has some advice.
I think there is anything people should do. Just know who your friends are, I guess, would be one thing to say.
All right, there I have it in a nutshell, the story of Damion Williams, incarcerated for all of 355 days on landing in the U.S. In the wrong place, the wrong time, and so for the consequence. All right, we have his lawyer, Mr. Ramirez, online. That's Anthony Ramirez, and Damion should be there also. So, Anthony Ramirez, welcome to the scoreboard in Jamaica.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me here.
And Damion Williams, welcome. How are you?
I'm fine. At this moment, I'm fine. I'm in the best of health.
Good.
Well, we are glad to hear that because you must have taken that deep breath when you came out last Friday.
Yes.
Well, I understand that you played some football, hence the reason for you being on a sports program in Jamaica. And we take interest, not only because you play football, but because you're Jamaica, but the fact that you're with us now. Who did you play for when you were in Jamaica?
Well, I used to play for Vauxhall Comprehensive I.
What year was that?
In the late, 96.
96, yes?
Yeah, 96, 97, and then after late 90s, like 99, we played for Bull Bay till Cup about 2003.
Yes.
When Barrington Cabagena was the coach, I remember that team.
Yes,
man.
Man.
A terrific team at that moment.
Well, he was always at Bull Bay. Cabra came back and did wonders, and then Vauxhall had come good. I remember a match that they defeated KC at KC, and it was as if the world ended for KC and the world began for Vauxhall.
What position you play, Damion?
Yes.
At that year, Vauxhall had reached the Manning Cup semi-final, and it used to be like 14, 18 go through, and a playoff like 14 per zone.
Yes.
And I think the top two go through to the final.
Okay. All right.
What position you used to play?
Vauxhall had reached. I don't hear.
What position you used to play?
Well, I was the all-rounder, and I play like midfield to wing back.
Yes. But
anyone at the wing back.
In the
midfield.
Right. But you have a very popular name because there are several Damion Williams who would be associated with football in Jamaica. One at Waterhouse we can remember distinctly,
Yeah, I remember that guy at Waterhouse.
Right. All right.
The Waterhouse team would come at the beat in the football first time and and they went on to win the Major League and then they went on to win the National League.
Right.
Yes.
Following year we win the football, went to the Major League final, qualified for the A League at the time, the next month, then we went on to win the go to the Premier League. I think 2002, something like that.
Yes.
That's great. Good memory.
We have to give credit to ABC. That clip about the whole story came from, but we give credit to them. But Damion, you didn't sound as fluent when you were speaking to the ABC people as you're speaking to us now. Was it the jitters from just being released?
Oh yeah, can you repeat something, please?
No, I said no. You're quite fluent now. I listening to you earlier. Sounded as if you were having the jitters kind of thing and speaking to the ABC people.
Okay.
All right. Briefly, tell us the story of you now going to the United States and what happened.
Just being a victim of circumstances, because I was being there for like 4 days and then on the 5th day, That's what transpired. But, thanks to Mr. Ramirez and thank God, first and foremost, thanks God, Met the truth revealed, and thanks to Mr. Ramirez and him hard-working team. Raven, I think they do a tremendous job, and I appreciate them, But God first and then Mr. Ramirez. It was wonderful, but it was hard to be, after 4 days, then you end up in a situation like that.
Yes.
You find yourself stressed out. You wonder what's going to happen down the road. But, I think Mr. Ramirez, they improved my belief and Raven, and they told me, and when they look into the bottom line and say, you're just being a victim of circumstances. I thank them to keep me as a father to a child and give me strong courage to stay firm on meditation, because it wasn't an easy battle. I think it was, it was very breathtaking and it was very hard, but thanks be to God, Mr. Ramirez and Raven, the hard-working team, but it wasn't easy.
I like how you put it. Thank God first and Mr. Ramirez second, yeah? But did you know the people that you went to, that house that you went to? You knew them?
I know one of the guys.
And you were just there, and what happened after day 4?
Yeah, just being a victim of circumstances,
So when you came off the plane, Damion, you went to stay with this friend as a coach, or you were going to stay with him until you found somewhere for yourself?
No, I was just on a dry run, like, first you're trying to explore as much as you can explore and know as much as you can. It's all about a tour. Having fun, head to Vegas. It's just all about that.
And did you know anything about these people?
No, I wouldn't know, because, I've just arrived.
And
4 days.
When the police came in, what happened then? What did they say to you?
They didn't say nothing, They didn't came for me. They look out the door and I step out, and but I was self-shocked. I ain't gonna tell you like I was timid. I've never seen so many in my life. You get me? So I was self-shocked,
And I've been carted off to jail now. What was the feeling like in hearing that door locking behind you?
Man, it's not an easy road, man. Mr. Ramirez more pressure come to talk to him and tell him all the while, but it's not an easy road, man. Been for so long, like I think 422 days.
And then the experience of being in there, what was that like to you?
It's rough, man. It's all politics in there,
Yes?
It's prejudice politics only,
Yeah.
Don't you understand politics like white, black, Mexican, Chicano, but it's all prejudice.
So survival was the game for you?
I don't hear you.
Survival was the game for you?
Yeah, that's the basic game. You got to stay focused, you got to stay strong, and you have to survive.
What has the experience... Sorry?
Experience?
What has the experience done for you, though? You have been through it. What has it done for you? Or is it reshaping you as an individual?
For me, I just thank God for pulling me through, because I couldn't pull through without myself,
Yes.
It's been hard work in prayer and dedication to God, and draw me closer to God. The things that I never know, I read the Bible back to front to back, and thanks to God, because God lead me through the situation, and then I could have said, I just want any youth or whatever, try don't be in a them situation, because it's not easy, man. It's rough. I'm telling you.
And then the family members that you have in the States, what did they go through while you were in prison?
It's it's rough, man. It's always been rough, man. It's just been, you know, it's been a ceremony. Everybody screaming, everybody bawling, you know, because after a short stay, then a long term, somewhere where nobody wish for their loved one. I wouldn't wish for my enemy to be in a situation like that, you know?
Yes.
But,
We're going to take a break, Damion. We just spoke to you to get an introduction to the whole story. We're going to be speaking to Mr. Anthony Ramirez, your lawyer, when we come back from a short break. Okay, welcome back to the scoreboard on KLAS Sports FM, powered by ESPN. And you would have heard the story in our first segment. Damion Williams himself speaking to us about the ordeal he went through, having been in the U.S. for just about 4 days and then arrested while he was asleep, awakened with police swarming the place and taking him off to jail. 355 days spent in jail until the man who he described as next to God, a lawyer, Anthony Ramirez, came to the rescue and piloted him through the ordeal until he was released after 355 days. Mr. Anthony Ramirez, we welcome you to the program.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
My name is Stratton Palmer, and with me is
Dr. Paul Wright. Very good to speak to you, Mr. Ramirez. And on behalf of all of us here in Jamaica and the sporting fraternity, thanks.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I'm glad to be here.
Tell me, what does it feel like to be next to God? Because he said he thanked God first and then Mr. Ramirez.
Well, I'm very flattered. I certainly think I don't know what else to say about that, but I'm very flattered by the compliment.
Yeah. How did you get engaged to this case? What was the intro for you?
So, Mr. Williams was already being represented by the firm when I actually joined as a new associate with my Arizona lawyers here in Mesa, Arizona. And the case was being handled by an attorney that had departed, and so the case was handed over to myself.
Wow.
And that's how I was introduced to Damion back in November of last year.
Mm-hmm. Divine intervention.
If you ask Damion, he would tell you that. But, you know, it was a very interesting case, and I don't want to jump ahead or anything, but, you know, I'm a former police officer with the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department.
Yes.
And in addition to being an attorney here in Arizona, I'm also a licensed private investigator. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to review Damion's case and see that there was a lot of issues with it, and thought that we could be of good help to him.
Mm. Yep. Well, having been introduced to the case, did you take into account the witness not the witness, but Damion's statement, and you found that there was believability at first, or something that you had to work at whilst you did your dredging?
Well, you know, Damion had always maintained his innocence from the first day that I met him until the day that the jury agreed with us. I'll be very honest with you, and Damion will tell you this, that, you know, the state of Arizona had offered him a plea agreement. Mm-hmm. And Arizona has very stiff sentencing, very harsh sentencing, and they had offered him a plea agreement of pleading to the lowest level felony that we have in Arizona. It was called a Class 6 felony undesignated, which means that after Damion had completed his probation, then the felony would have been reduced to a Class 1 misdemeanor.
Yes.
Now, you have to understand that along with that plea that would turn into a misdemeanor, they were out offering him probation. Mm-hmm. So, you know, when I met Damion in November, I think it was about December that the plea came, and he could have been out of jail in December of last year. Mm-hmm. And the fact that Damion did not want to accept the plea, that I'll tell you, if it was me, I would have taken the plea just to get out of jail. Uh-huh. And I know I have a lot of other clients that would take that plea. And, you know, I frankly, when Damion turned it down and told me that he wanted to proceed to trial, I told him what the risk was, which was, 4.5 years in prison.
Wow.
And I thought he was crazy. I think David will tell you I cursed him.
Yeah,
I thought he was out of his mind.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But he did not want to take the plea, and for a good reason. And that made me believe even more.
Yeah.
I knew we had a good case, but the fact that he was so steadfast in his belief of his innocence
Yeah, yeah.
really made us dig in harder and fight for him.
Right. The laws in the US are different from in Jamaica, but the fact that he was in the house, did that make him more susceptible to being looked at as being a criminal element? Would people would have said that he just came up meant that he was not a part of anything, or was it that once you're there, that is it?
Well, you have to look at it from the standpoint of law enforcement. I don't think that anything malicious was done on the part of the state. I mean, you have to think about it. Damion was the only person found in a house with approximately 85 pounds of marijuana. The owner of the house had previously been arrested. What else are people going to think? They jump to conclusions and say, well, if he's the only guy in the house, well, it must be his. However, there's a lot more to that. There's a lot more that goes along with that, and the police, in my opinion, we knew that the evidence would show that they didn't do a good investigation, and the jury agreed with us. They jumped to conclusions because he was the only person in the house.
Let me ask you this. The fact that they placed it as a Class 6, the lowest level felony case, did it suggest to you that there might be some weakness in the prosecution's case?
Yeah, it told us that there was a weakness. Of course, they didn't come out and say that. That's just strictly my opinion.
Yes.
But, that level of the weight of the marijuana that was in the house,
yes.
That's a Class 2 felony in Arizona. And so, the fact that they were offering him a Class 6, they gave Damion an opportunity to accept that plea so that they could get something and, win a conviction. And so, it theoretically could show a weakness in the case, but, you have to think about it. Whether it's a Class 6 felony or a Class 2 felony, it's a felony. And, Damion is interested in, it's my understanding that he's interested in immigrating to the United States. And as you may know, that would destroy any chance of him immigrating here. It's not going to happen it doesn't matter if it's a Class 6 or a Class 2 felony. You get a felony, you're done.
Especially in the current environment, eh?
That's correct, especially in the current environment.
Tell me, though, the fact that you were a cop in D.C. as well as being a licensed private investigator, along with being qualified as a lawyer, did this help you with this case in particular, that you were able to ferret out things for yourself that others may have missed?
I can't speak for what my predecessor did, but I can tell you that my experience in law enforcement did help me understand that the investigation that was done in Damion's case was deficient. In fact, the trial, our trial strategy was really to put that law enforcement officer on trial. My presentation to the jury was, if you have a person here that you have in custody and you're building a case against him, that investigation into that person should be conducted properly, and it was not. And so I knew that because of my investigative experience.
Right,
Does that
right.
make sense?
I suspected that. This is why I asked the question, whether all those things qualified you to really have a deeper look and a sixth sense, as it were, to the situation than many other lawyers would have been. You're a law firm. Do you have other counterpart agencies in other states, or you're essentially just Arizona-based?
Yeah, my Arizona lawyers is based out of Mesa, Arizona. We have another office in Tucson, Arizona, which is about 2 hours south. And in metropolitan Phoenix, we also have offices in Avondale, Glendale, and Scottsdale. And so we're throughout the metropolitan Phoenix area and Tucson.
Yeah. I was thinking that... I'm sorry, you finish what you're saying, please.
So I was going to say, in addition to doing criminal defense, we also do personal injury law, family law, and bankruptcy.
Yeah. But with this case and the success you have had and the fact that ABC would have taken it on in and it would have been shown right across the United States, would suggest that your popularity, your notoriety would have gone up somewhat. Are you ready to spread your wings?
Oh, yeah, we hope it does. We hope it does. Absolutely. I mean, make no mistake, we're in the business to make money.
Yes.
And, you know, more importantly, what we want people to know is that, you know, we have very competent attorneys.
Oh, yes.
I work with some very competent criminal defense attorneys. My colleague, Angel Raymond, is extremely competent, and Luke Finch, they're the bread and butter of what we do.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's, you know, we hope that people learn about the type of law that we practice here and give us an opportunity to help them. Because
certainly you could find a niche in the Caribbean community in the metropoles, that is the New York and the California, D.C., all that area from which you're somewhat familiar, that, you know, you could really build a healthy clientele in those states.
Yeah, you know, you never know. I mean, we're always open to growing. You know, in that vein, I'll tell you, and I don't know what this has to do with, it doesn't have anything to do with this case per se, but when I was trying to garner interest in Damion's case, once I really dug in and saw what was going on, you know, I had contacted the Jamaican embassy in Washington, D.C., and, you know, I never heard back from it. I never heard back, and I could never understand why.
This was about exactly when you would have contacted the embassy. About what month?
I think I contacted them in April. It would have been like the end of March, maybe mid-April, sometime in there.
That was 2016 or 17.
Something like that. And, you know, I just wanted them to know that there was a fellow countryman that was in trouble out here.
Yes. Wow. Sad state of affairs. I'm going to ask you to hold the line, and we're on another break. Some commercials coming up, and then we'll be back with you, Anthony Ramirez.
And Damion Williams.
Okay, as we welcome you back to the final segment of this intriguing and indeed enthralling story of Damion Williams, a young Jamaican who landed in the States, went with some friends for about 4 days, and then while asleep, police broke the door and found 85 pounds of marijuana with a sleeping visitor. Well, he was not a visitor, but person there, and was in jail for all of $355. He gives thanks to God and to his lawyer, Anthony Ramirez, a man experienced as a D.C. cop, a licensed private investigator, and then an attorney, got the case late and was able to get Damion to where he is now, a free man. Welcome back, Anthony Ramirez, to the program.
Thank you.
What happened with the other people in the household? They weren't there at the time, but investigation would have proved that they were the people who had control of the residence. Were they also arrested?
So, yeah, that's actually how the police came into contact with Damion. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Department had been doing some surveillance on a packaging store in South Phoenix. They had observed Mr. Lauderdale and Mr. Campbell. Mr. Lauderdale was Mr. Williams' friend that he had talked to you about. Those two individuals were acting suspiciously. They were contacted by law enforcement, and subsequently they found a box with approximately 10 pounds of marijuana in it. They had previously mailed one earlier in the day that had a similar amount of marijuana in the box. So that, in the state of Arizona, that arrest and seizure of the marijuana packages gave them the ability to request a warrant for the house that Damion was found in. So Mr. Lauderdale and Mr. Campbell, I'm not their attorney, so I really can't comment on their cases.
Yes.
But they're going to be facing their own days, and they're going to have their own days in court.
How did you manage to get Mr. Lauderdale, I think you said, to get on the witness stand?
You know, that was his decision. In fact,
volunteered.
Mr. Lauderdale testified on behalf of Mr. Williams, and I'm here to tell you that that's a very unusual situation.
Yeah, I was about to ask, how usual is that?
Whoa!
It's extremely unusual.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. Yeah. And you know, the prosecution, of course, tried to discredit him because he had his own prior contact with law enforcement, and they were saying he's a felon, he's a liar, and you know, criminals will lie to get themselves out of trouble.
Yes.
I think we can all agree to that. But it's a rare criminal that will tell a lie to place himself in jeopardy, or that places himself in jeopardy.
Yes.
And he got up on the stand and accepted responsibility for his action, you know, accepted responsibility, ownership of the marijuana, and, you know, admitted to not telling Mr. Williams anything about what he was doing. And that played a very big part in the jury's verdict.
Yes.
It is what I term divine intervention again, you know, Mr. Ramirez, because there's a series of incidents that are now culminating in the freedom that Damion has achieved. But these all incidents that culminated in his freedom are so unusual that you begin to wonder if there is such a thing as divine intervention.
Well, you know, I'll even say in a second, I'll tell you something that was even a little bit more unusual about Mr. Williams' case. But, you know, I would actually go visit with Damion at the Durango, at the Towers jail. And, you know, he told me that he read his Bible every day.
Yeah.
So he stayed with that Bible. He actually would quote some Bible verses to me and would, you know, ask me to pray for him and read these verses. And you know what? I did.
Okay.
And, you know, he very much placed his life in the hands of God, and he delivered.
Well, I tell you, Damion, are you still there, Damion?
I want to just ask
please.
Mr. Ramirez, is it usual for a lawyer to take this keen an interest? Yes, you take interest in the case, but it seems as if you got to a personal level. You are visiting with him, you know, over time. Is that usual, or was there something that really touched you that you pursued all these areas?
Well, let me tell you that this is a second career for me. Okay,
yes.
So I haven't been a lawyer for an unusually not long amount of time.
Yes,
and that's the other thing that I was going to tell you is that my help on this case, my assistant is a law student. Her name is Raven Garcia.
yes,
and she's a third-year law student at Kansas School of Law.
yes,
And played a very big part in helping put together Damien's case.
Wow.
But to answer your question about taking an interest in my client,
yes,
no, I can't speak for other attorneys,
yes,
but I handle my business by being. I look at it like this, guys. You know, my clients are going through something that's obviously very serious and very personal in their life, and I take that seriously. I give my clients my personal cell phone number. When Damion was released, I invited him into my. In fact, when he got released, and I picked him up the next day, you know, I took him to Hooters, and we went and had some wings.
yes.
A couple beers.
Famous Hooters.
You know, you're a man after my own heart.
So, you know, I invited him to my house.
Yes.
He came to my home and had dinner with my family. And I think when I was talking to Sean earlier yesterday, I told him I've been playing rugby for 20 years, and I'm a member of the Red Mountain Rugby Club out of Mesa, Arizona, who in 2008 won the USA Rugby National Championship.
Ah.
And on Sunday, this past Sunday, we were having a day at the ballpark. My rugby team went to Chase Field to watch the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
And I had told them that Damion was a footballer, that he was coming with me.
Yes.
And my team brought him a jersey for his son. We brought him one of our team polo shirts. And he got to spend the day with we didn't hold it against Damion that he was a footballer, and we went ahead and hung out with him like he was a rugger.
Well, I tell you, you are a one of a kind, Mr. Maria. Quite magnanimous, and boy, all power to you in the future.
Let me bring in Damion. Damion, you still there?
Yeah.
What I want, I'm getting goosebumps here, Damion, because the story that Anthony has been giving us is really one of wonder. But let me come back to you, Damion Williams. Your strength of character as a Jamaican who has enjoyed himself in Jamaica, gone to the United States in order to assist himself and his family, meeting into trouble like this and getting an opportunity to pre-bargain and come out with a felony 6, and after a while to have yourself placed on probation and so on. And your strength of character in saying, no, I'm innocent, I'm willing to look at 4.5 years in prison on the mere fact that I am innocent, and I believe that if I maintain my innocence, prove it, divine help will come my way, and it did. And Damion Williams, I tell you, this program on radio today and on ABC, that was how we got hold of it. And for the strength that you showed that team that took you to that Diamondback game and so on, you are going to resonate with a lot of people all around the world, Damion Williams. Congratulations for your strength of character, first of all.
Thank you very much.
Tell us about your lawyer taking you to Hooters, his home, and into a rugby game. What did that mean to you?
It's mean a lot, man. It's mean a lot, yeah? Yeah, we become so dedicated to each other, and in terms of confidence level, that I put my trust in God first, and then I told him that nothing can beat us. You get me? Because I told him that the truth must reveal. So nothing can beat us. So this is like a relationship like father and son.
Wow.
That's the whole point, father.
What next for you now, Damion?
Huh?
What is next for you?
Where do you go from here?
I don't even know.
You're in New York now, and we're with family, okay? What is looking like for the rest of the year in New York? Looking at job, trying to get your life back together again, thinking about home. What is next for Damion Williams now that he's in New York, a free man? After we come back from this break, we're taking a quick break. When we come back, Damion, stay with us. So too, Anthony Ramirez. Let us continue with this enthralling story. Soon be back.
All right, we are back with you on the scoreboard. Still on the front page, still have Anthony Ramirez, the lawyer of Damion Williams, and Damion Williams himself online as we wrap up this with our final segment. But before Dr. Paul get back to Damion, because we want to know how old his son is and the possibility of him going in jail while his son is there, awaiting him to come to join him in
New York. Damion?
Damion fell off the line. I'm trying to get him back on.
Okay. Tell us a little bit, Anthony Ramirez, his family now, because we are now hearing of his son, hearing that his father was incarcerated, his father maintaining his innocence, getting what proved to be the lawyer of lawyers, Anthony Ramirez, and sticking to his guns, his character. He turning down a plea bargain that sounds to me, and I remember your words, sounds to me that, I'm in jail, I don't know these people, Mr. Campbell not helping me, Lauderdale might come and help me, I might as well tell the plea bargain. He never did. He told you all the time, Anthony, that he was going to be free because he believed
we are going to win.
We are going to win. That sort of character. Tell me about, until we get back, Damion, his family, his son and so on. How many children did he have? And did you ever get in touch with these people while you were on the case?
I did get Damion back on the line, by the way, but
okay.
Just to answer your question real quick before you go back to him, I did speak with, I believe it was his niece via email in Jamaica.
Uh-huh.
I had asked her to send me several pictures of him, just so that I could get some sort of background for him. And she sent me over some photos. And I know Damion has a few children. He can tell you more about that.
Yes.
But I didn't really have a lot of contact with his family, to be honest with you.
Welcome back, Damion.
Yeah, thanks.
You're back with us now, Damion? Hello?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, good to have you back there, man. What you wanted to know is that you left Jamaica for the United States in order to better yourself and your life. You got involved with problems. You had a son over there. Tell me about the family where you are now in New York and how you managed to be in touch with them and to weather the storm for the 355 days of what I call living hell.
Well, I just call them whenever time I can and tell them to pray for me and don't worry because prayer do a lot. I tell them don't worry. Whatever God plan, there's no man can elude God's plan, but God can obscure anything that mankind plan and change it. I tell them don't worry because they used to be stressed and worried, and I tell them no, don't worry, leave it to God, it's in God's hands. So they were stressed, to be honest, but I get them to stop stress and don't worry and just stay happy and believe in God. And I even ask them to pray for me like 3 times per day each day. It's really work.
The other aspect of it that I want to touch with you, Ben, you went up there because of a friend called Campbell, and you were afforded the privilege of staying in a house, and when you get your feet around, when problems came, it was Lauderdale who stepped forward, not Campbell. Explain that.
Lauderdale was his friend, not Campbell.
That is because that is what we couldn't understand. Thanks for that, Anthony, because that is what really got to me. What Lauderdale was his friend, and Lauderdale stood up when it mattered. And tell me about your son in New York, Damion. How old is he, and how was he taking it? I know you asked him to pray 3 times a day. And tell me about your contact with him while you were in prison.
Well, it wasn't much. Because, as you know, my mother is not like that anymore, but it wasn't much. But I have other sources like my wife, it's good for the other, But it wasn't, I didn't have much like sons, like my children, I didn't have much contact with them. In fact, I didn't have none at all.
Mr. Ramirez?
Yes, sir.
The fact that Lauderdale came forward, although he admitted to be in charge of the situation, would that redound to his benefit in his own case?
It's going to be to the benefit of the state of Arizona. I mean, he basically fell on the sword and he offered himself up for Damion. And he was advised that what he was doing was going to help the state of Arizona convict him. Now, I can't predict or would hope to say that I know what the judge is going to do. But the fact that he admitted what he did and that he fell on the sword could, if the judge was so inclined, help mitigate his situation and reduce his consequences. It could. I don't know that it would,
Yeah.
but it's certainly a possibility.
Right.
Yes.
There's a level of honesty there
Yeah.
somewhere.
And with so much going around, Damion and Anthony, that we can't explain by coincidence, I am sure that when the judge who is looking into this understand that this man fell on the sword to help an innocent friend who was visiting from Jamaica, I tell you, I believe that there's going to be a hand somewhere touching that judge's heart.
Well, is there going to be any recourse for Damion, Mr. Ramirez? Is there the possibility that there's a lawsuit pending, or the fact that he's free, that is justice?
In Arizona, the prosecutor has absolute immunity from any type of civil recourse.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm researching right now. In fact, my intern Raven that I told you about
Ms.
earlier
Garcia.
is actually doing research for me to see if there is some recourse against the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department because of a poor investigation. I don't know if there is. We're still in the process of finding out, but rest assured that if there is, we're absolutely going to hold them responsible for what they did to Damion.
Okay.
Why did he have to spend all of 355 days in jail? Could he have been bonded, or was it because he was just in America?
Well, no, and I think Damien's bond, I think, was $25,000. Damion, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But 20,000. So Damion would have had to come up with a down payment of 10%, and then have collateral for the remaining $18,000. But even that being said, he didn't have anyone here in the state of Arizona. You know, and where would he have lived? What would he have done? So even though he could have bonded out, it just wasn't something that was realistic for him based on the way that he was here. I'll tell you, in addition to that, you know, when he was found not guilty by the jury, his passport, his Jamaican passport, was in evidence. It was in custody.
Yes.
And we knew that he was going to be released sometime in the next, day or several hours. And I asked the judge to turn over his passport into my custody, and the judge did. And, believe it or not, the detective that was in charge of the evidence for that case, the one that had done a poor investigation, did not want to release Damien's passport. The judge had to order him to give me the passport, and I was in custody of it until about, I think I got a call from Damion that night, Friday night, at about 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
And he called me, and he was in a cab. It was about 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night, and he wouldn't have even been able to get a hotel room without his ID. And so I literally had to jump in my car and drive about a half an hour to his hotel that he was wanting to check into to give him his passport. The state of Arizona was going to just let him be in a very bad situation had we not intervened.
Wow.
I tell you what, I'm actually almost tearing up, Anthony.
Wow.
But is there a script writer? I wish I were
This is a
who
movie.
would want to come and really sit and go through this with you, because somewhere there's a television story and or a film somewhere awaiting this whole episode.
Well,
It's a great story with a great ending.
it is great. And let me tell you something, Anthony Ramirez, on behalf of all of us here, the sporting fraternity, and even the ordinary citizen, Raven Garcia and yourself.
And humanity.
And humanity.
Yes.
Raven Garcia and yourself deserve all the kudos you can get, because even though there was divine intervention, there was that little man with ears, the devil, still working against Damion, and you at 11 o'clock at night going out and rescuing this man of strength of character that was so forthright and so great in this story. And this story, I tell you, it's on air, it came on ABC, it will go down in the annals of judicial history and of humanity as one of the great stories of our time. And for you, Anthony Ramirez, your assistant, Reverend Garcia, and your law firm, Thanks again.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Anthony Ramirez, on my behalf also. Good to have you on the program. And certainly.
And Damion, keep strong.
Yeah.
You are a beacon of hope to all of us here back home. Well done, sir.
And gentlemen, if I may, I would also like to make sure that we thank the Red Mountain Rugby Club from Mesa, Arizona.
Oh, yes.
For hosting.
How could I forget them?
You may hear from us about some contact with our local rugby team.
Thanks again, gentlemen.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
All right.